A 2016 Roy Morgan poll showed 1 in 10 Kiwis follow a vegetarian diet, a 27% increase in just 5 years. The sharpest growth is among 14 to 34-year-olds, North Islanders and men. The number of vegetarians drops among 35 to 49-year-olds, and there are fewer South Islanders willing to give up meat, 7.8%. In terms of sustainability, a low-meat diet is leagues ahead of a meat-rich diet. A United Kingdom study asked more than 55,000 participants how often they ate meat and compared the greenhouse emissions of their diets. It found that a meat-eater's diet caused about 52% more greenhouse gas emissions than that of a vegetarian, and up to 102% more than a vegan. Beef cattle in New Zealand contribute to greenhouse emissions mainly through the production of methane and by expelling phosphorus and nitrogen into soil through their urine, which can end up in waterways. If environmental consciousness turns people against meat, what could that mean for a country dependent on the agriculture sector? Sustainable Business Network Chief Executive Rachel Brown thinks a radical shift needs to take place. That could mean meat becomes a high-end expensive product rather than an everyday food source. To get to the point where less meat is produced and sold at a higher price, farming practices will need to become what Brown calls restorative farming, an approach to food production that focuses on protecting the environment. Restorative farming is trying to help solve the whole system. When we focus on the farmers, they need to reduce the number of stock they have. If they do this, they also need people to pay more for their meat. Brown knows it's not an easy task asking farmers to reduce the number of cattle they have. There will be genuine fears of how they will pay their mortgages if they need to get rid of cattle. In the not-so-distant past, New Zealand's identity was firmly entrenched as a farming nation. The fact that our sheep population was larger than the number of humans here was a source of pride for Kiwis and ridicule from our closest neighbours. The move away from pride as a farming nation and a growing awareness of environmental concerns has created a dilemma for New Zealanders who have a tradition of meat and 3 vegetables for dinner. In 2006, New Zealanders consumed 32 kilograms of chicken, 16 kilograms of pork, 17 kilograms of beef and veal, and 19 kilograms of lamb and mutton. In 2016, it showed Kiwis the figures had changed considerably, with Kiwis eating about 40 kilograms of chicken each, 18 kilograms of pork, 10 kilograms of beef and veal, and just 1 kilogram of lamb and mutton. It could be the case that unaffordability of food products reflects the change rather than ethical concerns. Since 2002, the number of total dairy cattle has risen. As a result, the emissions created by dairy has doubled since 1990. The number of sheep has fallen more than 30%, and the number of beef cattle has stayed the same. It's a fact the industry is acutely aware of. Compared to lamb raised in the UK, New Zealand lamb has a smaller carbon footprint. Are farmers ruining the environment? Many New Zealanders would be surprised at the number of very good farmers there are throughout the country. Farmers who are very environmentally aware. Many have invested a lot into changes on their farms to counteract its environmental impact. Their work started to pay off, with their greenhouse gas emissions currently sitting 19% lower than the 1990 levels. But environmental group Greenpeace believes farmers are being let down by leaders who aren't giving farmers the right advice they need to transition to a lower impact model. Greenpeace agricultural campaigner Genevieve Toop supports the idea of reducing livestock numbers, believing that fewer cows could reduce emissions. It's something the Kidd family have been able to adapt to with their Kaipara lamb product. Diane Kidd points out many local consumers want to know where their food comes from. We tell the story of our farm and how we keep the water pristine clean, the stock in the shade, and the shelter in the paddock. That resonates with people.